Never forget 3 types of people in your life: those who helped you in your difficult times, those who left you in your difficult times, and those who put you in difficult times. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend, but I would like to start this week off on the right foot by saying thank you and giving recognition to those who have showed up over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. There's only one level, $1 per month, even less than that if you sign up for an entire year, fully refundable in the first 90 days. What's the difference between the Patreon channel and the YouTube channel? We talk about a lot of the same things at Patreon that we talk about here. However, at Patreon, we can take the gloves off. We can speak like adults. We don't necessarily have to worry about censorship so much because of Vimeo. We can put the videos there, and Google doesn't necessarily look so much at Vimeo. Would love to have you there. Would love to have you join us over there. We also talk about psychological operations, and some people ask, why is that so important? Understanding all of the psychology, the 24 cognitive biases, the 24 logical fallacies, why is that so important? Because without control of your mind and understanding the psychology of those around you, nothing you do matters. Somebody somewhere will take advantage of you. And that person might be you. Florida Maquis, that doesn't make any sense. Really, it does. Because you can have an understanding of what you need to do during a shit it's the fan situation, but if your mind is weak and you don't understand what's going on, you will not be able to affect good survival, not for a day, not for a week, not for a month. Let me give you guys some examples. This is one of my viewers. He has Instagram channel of his own, YouTube channel of his own. His name is Tim Bassett. He's in his early 60s. Guy's in great shape. And he does great videos talking about how to prepare meals right, how to use supplements right, exercising, all of this kind of good stuff. But if you're somebody that doesn't have control of your mind and you aren't disciplined enough to do it, none of what he suggests will work if you only do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then you go back to your old habits because your mind is weak. If you don't understand your own psychology, none of what he says will work if you're just blown about by the wind of emotion. Great channel. Tim Bassett. Timbazet on Instagram. And Tim Bassett, Tim space Bassett on YouTube. Check out his stuff. You won't regret it. I'm sure a lot of you know who Southern Prepper 1 is. He's been doing videos for years and years and years and years. Probably a video about every possible aspect of prepping you could ever want. Beans, bullet band-aids, the whole thing. But if you have all this stuff and you have a homestead and you're ready for everything, but as soon as the shit hits the fan, you lose control of your mind, eventually somebody's just going to come take it all from you. Because you don't have control of your mind. Same thing with Jennifer LaFontaine, Jennifer Veterans for Truth, and the Patriot Nurse. Talked about them as well. Great information, both channels. 2 completely different perspectives on basically the same info. But once again, if you don't have control of your mind, none of it will matter. You won't remember any of it. This is a great meme to illustrate this. What happened to Bruce Banner every time something bad happened? Every time he encountered an unfair situation where things didn't go right, he turned green and just decided to go on a rampage. And that's exactly what we're starting to see in society right now. People that don't have the ability to deal with unfairness. They don't have the ability to deal with the unknown or stress. Psychological Operations 101. Prepare your mind. Over the last week, 2 weeks, month, maybe longer, we've talked about this paradigm that occurred in this series, Colony. And I've gotten a little bit of pushback for it because I don't think a lot of people understand the reality of this and why it would apply and why we're going to see this more and more and more. For those of you who are unaware, the series Colony lasted 3 seasons. Space aliens come down, they drop walls, and they basically choose a certain high-level strata of society to act as the authority. And everybody else just kind of suffers. Unfairly, of course. There's this character, played by the actress Amanda Rigetti. The character is Maddie Kenner, and she has a son who needs insulin. She's been deemed not worthy because she's a single mom. And so she has to find one of these people who have been chosen to be in the authority and make her case as to why she would be a great choice for a life mate so that her son can get insulin so that he can live. And many people look at the guy as some kind of a smarmy, horrible, predatory. Nothing could be further from the truth because he didn't have any idea the space aliens were going to come. Or he wasn't party to the decision that made him part of the authority or part of the group that was chosen to live in the green zone. He was just chosen. And so imagine, ladies, just for a moment, close your eyes, that you're the guy in this position. And you know the only reason the girl who's 18 years younger than you is pursuing you is because you have the wherewithal to take care of her kid. How do you make that decision in any way that doesn't make you feel like you're about 1 inch tall? You can agree to it and then get all the looks, get all the people looking down their nose. Oh, we know why they're together. Or you can say no and let the kid die. You can say no and know that that's going to be sealing the fate of the child. But you get to keep your self-esteem. See, it's not quite that easy, is it? The psychology is very different. And I don't think that what happened in this series is completely divorced from the fact that these two individuals, and yes, they are 18 years apart, ended up living happily ever after together in real life. It had to play into it to some extent because at some point they would both realize how unfair the situation was to both of them. See, that's the world we're living in right now. There are a lot of people out there who are being forced into some very unfair situations where no matter what they do, they're going to be judged. No matter what decision they make, they're going to be judged. And so what do? They take that moment, that trauma bond, and they hang on to each other and make the best of it. And don't think for 1 minute that doesn't have something to do with why our grandparents and great-grandparents stayed together for so long. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at this image. Okay, I might buy that, Maki, but what does that have to do with socialism? That has nothing to do with socialism, really? Really? Unfair Situations 101. This is what people do. They go to government to fix it. See, taxes are necessary to pay for things. Overtaxation, however, is burdensome. Same thing with regulations. You have to have regulations and rules for society. Overregulation, however, is a problem. All of these things that result in government getting so involved in people's lives have to do with trying to make things fair. Would you want an unlicensed dentist or doctor or contractor doing anything for you? Would you like buildings that you frequent, whether it's a grocery store or something else, to not be inspected or insured? Yeah, but Mikey, you can't have government control of everything. This particular meme has been making its way around right-wing social media for the last, probably 2 weeks, and I finally couldn't take it anymore. I had to share it. Of course, it's Maggie Simpson. You can't control the drilling, shipping, storing, refining, buying, selling, trading, and taxing of oil, and then say you don't control oil prices. You see, they're trying to beat up Joe Biden because he's done this poorly, and they're blaming Joe Biden for the rising cost of oil and the rising cost of gasoline. But wait a minute. Joe Biden hasn't always been president. The U.S. government has always been in charge of the drilling, shipping, storing, refining, buying, selling, trading, and taxing of oil. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Isn't that the very definition of socialism? Where government is in direct control of the private things that should be in the private sector? You see, if you're saying that now because Joe Biden is doing a bad job and of all of these things, and that's causing the increase in the price of oil and causing gasoline to be more expensive, then you would have to say that the government has always been in charge. Because nothing has changed that way since Biden's taken office. He's just doing a bad job of it. So yes, the U.S. government does control oil prices. Now you could take oil out of this, scratch this out, and you could talk about food. Because of all of the subsidies. Because the U.S. government does control the planting and harvesting, shipping, storing, refining, buying, selling, trading, and taxing of food products. They subsidize sugar, corn, wheat, cotton, you name it. 80% of what's on the shelf would be 40% more expensive if the U.S. government wasn't subsidizing it, meaning already writing a check to the provider of those things. So imagine inflation now, but then add 40%. Getting rid of the subsidies, meaning getting rid of the socialism. Florida is in a mess right now regarding insurance because of this. The governor's having to do a very difficult dance. Florida accounts for about 7 to 10% of the homeowners insurance policies in the country, but accounts for 74% of the litigation regarding homeowners insurance, meaning people suing their insurance companies to get reimbursement. And so insurance companies are not seeing Florida as a place where they can make a whole bunch of money, risk-reward analysis-wise. So it's becoming more and more and more difficult for people to get policies, homeowners insurance policies, and those who have them, the prices are exorbitant. And people are being priced out simply on that alone. And the governor has been confronted multiple times in press conferences that had to do with nothing about that, because this is such a crisis in Florida. Older folks living on fixed incomes, they can't afford it. But wait a minute, if the government intervenes in the insurance markets and says, okay, this, but not that, how do you say government getting involved in private business is not some form of socialism? You see, this is where people just do not understand where they live. They've loved to beat Venezuela over the head with a socialist club, not realizing you live in a socialist country. Venezuela was just at a different point in their history than we were. And there wasn't a big bully country like the U.S. to go down and sanction Venezuela when the U.S. was at the point Venezuela was at. But of course, this kind of stuff doesn't make the news. So, anyway, our Secretary of State, by the way, has been officially replaced. Laurel M. Lee stepped down, and she has been replaced by someone named Cord Bird from Neptune Beach, which is up by Jacksonville. The guy is nothing short of a pit bull. He is about as far right as you can get in the state of Florida. And believe me, for that position, in the next 6 months, that's exactly what we're going to need. We signed a bill creating a new Florida election police force that he's going to be in charge of. Believe me, there's not going to be any messing around in the state of Florida when it comes to elections. It's not going to happen. Not with Cord burden charge. I didn't even know he was up for it. To be truthful, he is a tough nut to crack, really. He will not take any crap from any leftists, that's for sure. So, anyway, I guess I will just leave it there. Join us over at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. There's a lot to offer. There's a lot to learn. Psychology is a never-ending thing. Just because you know doesn't mean that you're immune or you're impervious. But knowing is the first step. And then having the discipline to apply it is the next step. And you have to stay on it, just like Tim Bassett would tell you. You can't just work out for 2 months or 3 months or 6 months and then lose the weight and then think, oh, great, fantastic, now things are great, I'm just going to go back to the way I was. It's a lifestyle change. It's a mind change. You can learn a lot here. You can learn a lot from Southern Prepper. You can definitely learn a lot from these two young women for sure. Patriot Nurse and Jennifer LaFontaine, both still on YouTube. But remember, always, who helped you, who left you, and who put you in difficult times. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.